broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey, Dominion fans! Welcome back to AFTERBUZZ TV's Dominion After Show. This is really intense. I feel like I need a big reveal. We're talking about Reveal, Rise of the Fallen, episode 205 here on AFTERBUZZ. I'm your host, Zach Wilson. Big episode to break down.
I'm here too.
Yeah. Oh. And I was about to say, to help me break it down.
Hi.
I was getting there. I had a whole thing.
I can't
planned.
hear myself. Is there any way
I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you. Joining me as always, it's Jacque Borowski. Jacque, where can people keep up with you or tweet at you throughout the show, throughout the week?
123 Jacque_B. My phone's dead, so they can tweet at me throughout the week and not right now.
All right. Well, you make sure you're using the hashtag ABTVDominion. If you are, we'll be able to track those down. And you guys can tweet at me at that Zach Wilson. All right, let's just jump right in.
I just before we get started, I was looking through my notes, and sometimes I make notes that I don't really understand now that I've had a chance to step away from the show. I wrote, Cookie Monster told Julian he was gone. I don't know what that means.
Cookie Monster
told
Julian
he was gone. I don't even know what that means. Who is Cookie Monster and why is he on this show?
I'm trying to think, who could it be? All right, so
if you know who I meant or what I meant, please let me know.
Is Alex Cookie Monster?
See, I don't.
Is Michael? Is Gabriel? That's wonderful. No, there are some stuff in these notes that it just gets ridiculous. You should never see what we write down.
Right? I also wrote down Swamp Face 8-Ball, which actually was a real thing. There's that one 8-Ball that's with Julian for most of the scene, and he has a camo face. And I'm actually curious to see, does that mean that the body of the person that he's inhabited, does that mean that the body is breaking down? Or does that mean that the guy actually put on camo face? Or is that a different breed of 8-Ball?
Interesting. I don't think it's a different breed because they haven't ever gone into that. But they do change their teeth, back and forth too. Because when Pete is, exercise or when he gets the demon out of him, his teeth go back to normal. His body is completely reset. So it's totally possible that it could be
just what happens to the
just
body.
What happens. It could also be there's a lot of warrior 8-Balls.
Yes.
In New Delphi, so he could be he could have painted his face.
Right.
Or maybe he got maybe some decomposition or something.
See, yeah, I guess my leaning was towards the body degenerate, the body falling apart from the inhabitants of the 8-Ball or of the spirit.
Well, we know, and they make sure to they go into detail. Julian does in this episode that the body is basically healed, or at that point it is when they're inhabited, the body is basically cured of any diseases, stops aging, stops getting sick. That's what possession does. It's, I guess, the benefit of it.
Right.
And he says this to Ed Rice, and I guess this is as good a place to start as any.
I thought he was specifically talking about dyads because he's trying to convince Ryson to become a dyad by saying that, unlike the 8-Ball, you can live in harmony with this spirit, if that makes sense.
Well, I think it's true of any of them. I think it's why you don't see any old 8-Balls. around, really. Although I guess now that I think about it, if we go back to Legion, there was the crazy old grandma like climbing around on the ceiling.
Yes.
But I think because Pete, it didn't age at all.
No.
Pete's very young, and it's been a number of years.
Right.
So I think that alone is evidence that any 8-ball any angel inhabiting a human, whether it's a dyad or just a regular 8-ball, does stop the aging process.
Right. But I thought he was offering Ryzen to be a dyad. Where
He absolutely was. But that let's talk about that real briefly. Because Scania Nova or Mr. Vicky Guman at Mr. Vicky Guman on Twitter has a question for us. Is General Ryson, by the end of this episode, a dyad?
I would actually love that if that's the area they're going into, because he seems versus the other characters from Vega, he seems to be one of the ones most open to that, since he let his wife live as an 8-ball, basically.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely more open to that idea. I mean, Julian straight up offers him, like, that's where this question starts. Julian offers him to make him a dyad, that his soul will live on, fused with that of an angel. He'll effectively be, it's marriage to another level. Like, you will forever be two people within one body. Julian is presumably Julian, the human, and Lyrae. Not one or the other, not like switching between the two. Two people have become, two souls, if you will, have become one. So they are. It's a combination of personalities.
Right. I would actually also like to see. I mean, I feel like this show gives actors an opportunity to play with some very interesting roles, and I feel like that would be a great opportunity for the actor as well to see what he could do with that kind of role. I'd like to see that. I like to see it when actors get pushed to their limits like that.
Yeah, and I think that he absolutely could do some great stuff with that. As far as evidence within this episode, we see Julian offer, then we cut away. We come back, and Julian's gone, and the line is, I don't know, if it was the angel's part or the human part, but one of them just kicked my ass. Which is a funny line.
Right.
Does not sound like General Ryson.
No.
I don't know if that was just like to give him a fun line to say, or if I want to read super far into this really minor thing.
Right.
The voice of a new angel-human hybrid that is now General Ryson. Could be really interesting. Could be really cool.
I like that idea, and I like your read of that line, because for me, I actually did read it as, this is just like, because we know the writers have a good sense of humor, and we know that they want to stick like little humorous things throughout the script. And so I just took it as that. But you're right. If you read into it, that's not a very like Ryzen-like thing, or not something we would assume he would say.
Yeah. I mean, he's been off. He's had a lot of stuff to deal with, so maybe he's like starting to use humor to
deflect his pain.
Cope.
To cope with his pain.
But who knows what we're going to see from him.
Right.
And meanwhile, the other stuff going on in New Delphi is...
he offers... before we go, he brings up another interesting point where Julian says, I do get thirsty. And I didn't realize, do angels not eat? Do they just not eat? Or do they only just eat for fun? They, like, don't need to eat?
I mean, if they don't age and they don't get sick, in theory, they don't have to eat.
Right. Because it's like we've seen food in scenes they're in. I don't think I've actually seen any of the, maybe the 8-balls, yes, but I don't think I've seen any of the higher angels eating.
Oh.
But Julian's been drinking, right?
We've seen Julian eating and drinking. I think we saw him with an apple a few episodes ago. But, I mean, I don't know that we've seen Michael or Gabriel eat. I don't know that we haven't either. I don't think that there's really been a point.
No, it's not. It's not actually a very important or a big point. I'm just curious.
I mean, maybe no. We know that they're not like the angels in Dogma, because we know Michael has big ol' orgies. Yes. So
He's got working parts.
Yes, thank you. I was like, what euphemism can I use here?
He has working parts.
He does. So I think that they probably can eat. They almost definitely don't need to.
Right.
Because I just think about the 8 balls that are encircling Mallory. Mm-hmm. We haven't been there in a few weeks, but they're just always there. There's no food around there.
Right.
They're in the middle of a desert in this really random oasis town. So they're probably fine without food. Maybe that's why Pete came back to life and he's so skinny.
It's true. Pete hasn't had some food.
Skinny Pete.
Poor Pete.
But so let's talk about the whole situation with Michael coming into New Delphi.
I actually love this insight that we got from our writers that they really are playing up the Michael and Gabriel are brothers. So even though they don't see eye to eye on these issues, and historically they have not, we know that Michael will not kill Gabriel because they're brothers. Yeah. And so his pact with him is to say, okay, let's go into the city, let's bring Alex out. And so because both of them assumably knows, my brother's not going to kill me, they can play on each other like that. And I think that's real sibling relationships too. I have a sister. I take advantage of my sister all the time because I'm like, I know she doesn't mind. She's my sister, and I feel like
she'll put up with it.
Right, exactly. I feel like this is a real brother relationship where they're like, okay, well, I guess even though we're fighting right now, I'll do this because you're my brother.
Yeah, but just like real brothers, they have massive trust issues between the two of them. And so it's interesting to see them working together. We haven't seen that really, at least in modern days, on this show. And it's sort of this weird tenuous alliance where they're we both agree we need to get Alex away from New Delphi.
Right.
We don't agree on what happens next, but if we work together, in theory, we should be able to at least get him out of there, which we both agree is bad. And then I guess we'll do a King Solomon and cut him in half. I don't know what their plan was after that. Michael's basically, we learned Michael's plan. It was, I'm going to cut Gabriel's Achilles tendon and with my Iberian steel sword so that he can't walk, or at least can't run. Mm-hmm. He's still a higher angel, so I think he's I can handle some Achilles tendon pain.
Yes.
It's fine.
But we have this scene where Alex, I just felt so upset because you get these flashbacks where we see Alex meeting Michael and Michael protecting Alex, and we see the kind of relationship they're able to build, and then you see them in modern times, and Alex is betraying Michael. And so it's really a bummer because you have Michael in this situation where he does really want the best for Alex. He hasn't always made the best decisions, but he does want the best for Alex. So it's hard when you see him caught in that net that I assume is made of the, Empyrean steel. When you see him caught in the net.
Which, great weapon design, by the way.
Yes, exactly. I
would never have thought of it. Brilliant.
Right.
On both part of the writing staff and the town of New Delphi.
Yes.
But I'm paying compliments on both sides of that, you guys. But yeah, it was a really cool scene. Sorry, continue.
No, I was just saying that it was a big bummer to me to see Alex betraying Michael like that. And now I kind of wonder, we know from this episode, I guess we've kind of known all along that their fates are entwined. So you're like, Alex, you're screwing it up. Stop, listen to the angel. You're screwing things up because he's trying to trap Michael and then kill Gabriel. And
yeah. Well, I guess sort of my struggle with it and why I'm having a hard time siding with Alex in this, and I'm because I'm pretty much 100% on Michael's side here.
Right.
is that this is the pattern. This is what we saw. Mm-hmm. We saw Michael kill some people, kill some humans in Vega, and leave, and left Alex in Vega. Alex then decides that Gabriel might actually be the good guy, and we do too for a minute. So Alex, we end last season with him going willingly to Gabriel's Eyrie.
But also, like, I mean, with first trying to discover what Gabriel's deal is, but also in an attempt to protect his future child.
Yes, but what I'm saying is we see him go there, and then the next thing we see is him basically like being a smartass with Gabriel, like as Gabriel's like, read the markings, and he's like, I can't read the markings. Here's a soap drawing like of a smiley face, and then he gets bombed and he leaves. But in this episode, Alex is like, you don't know what Gabriel did to me in that Eyrie, like as if he was tortured in horrifying ways. We never saw any of that. And in fact, to this point, I don't think we actually heard about any of it. Unless, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm missing something. You guys in the chat roll, too. Like, if I'm missing anything, let me know. But I don't remember seeing any evidence that Gabriel really mistreated Alex, except being a little, like, mean to him. But
right. He was rough with him because he wasn't giving him the information he wanted. But I guess we didn't see anything that was like, oh my gosh, that's really torturous.
I didn't see him, like, hung from the rafters and, like, whipped until he's like, tell me what the symbols mean. It was
or maybe he's mad that Gabriel kept Noma captive.
Yeah.
I mean,
that was really it. We didn't see anything terrible.
Right.
So that's like, I guess that's a little bit of the disconnect there. And like, why turn on Michael? Like, he's such a good guy. He just like killed himself, but not really, for this like little town.
Well, and especially when you have characters where you're starting to see his history. I mean, obviously we have history from season 1, but you're starting to see his history as a kid, where Michael saved him from the bullies, and Michael's really like talking to him and connecting with him and protecting him.
Yeah.
I love that scene where he says, my dad left me a note, but I can't read it, and he's like, my dad's handwriting is bad too, and you're like, these two are just two people connecting and talking to each other.
Yeah. Boo69B's in the chat roll. It says I didn't know Michael knew Alex when he was little. Michael, like, if you actually dig into it, Michael was there like when Alex was born, aka the movie Legion, which we like semi ignore.
Right.
But so Michael's been around Alex his whole life, and I think so. He's sort of especially when Jeep leaves, he's sort of a surrogate father.
But Michael's the one who gave him to Jeep. As far as the show is concerned, I thought that Michael was the one who delivered him to Jeep so that Jeep could protect him and keep the
Jeep
markings.
Was the character from the movie who was like friends with Alex's mom, but not his father. Right. He was like the really good guy who was our hero, who like protected her, and then like so. I think it was. It's been a while since I've seen the movie, but I think it was that Michael sort of was like, "You look after him," but he was already there. Right. It wasn't like there was a lot of options around, and he had reason to look after him because he liked his mom, basically. Now I'm trying to remember what was the note that that Jeep left for Alex. I remember it being something ridiculous, like, "You're on your own now.
Bye now."
But yeah. So anyway, but I did like these flashbacks. It spurred a little bit of like why Alex should be upset. And why he feels guilty at the end of this, like when he like kind of finally realizes like, what have I done? Because Jeep's gone, Michael's like basically his dad. Right. He just like trapped trapped his dad in steel barbed wire nets.
That's exactly how I saw it.
Oof.
You know, I also have just a very, like, bizarre prediction after that, because we don't see Julian actually trying to kill Gabriel. He just wants to keep him. And so I'm like, I wonder if they're going to do some sort of, like, weird experiment with Gabriel, or if, like, Julian's going to try and, like, I don't know, like, force the Lyrae portion of his body into Gabriel's body because it's more powerful than him.
Yeah.
Which is bizarre. Like, that was my bizarre prediction. I was like, he's going to make a dyad out of Gabriel.
That would be interesting. I don't know how that would work. I think he needs him in a certain way to kill him so that he can banish his essence to the outer sphere or whatever, because he doesn't want to, like, just kill him. Like, he wants to make him suffer in darkness for thousands of years.
Like he did. Like,
exactly.
Well, he was. Which wasn't actually Gabriel's fault, it was Michael's, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, the Angel E in the chat room is saying that they remember that Alex had some cuts or gashes on his upper arms and his abdomen in the area. And again, it's like there was like a little bit of like he'd been treated rough, but we didn't see it. So like, yeah, he was clearly like abused, but it didn't hurt us as viewers because we weren't there.
That's true.
So we didn't have the emotional connection to it the same way that Alex did, and that's what I would have loved to see before that. There was an interesting point after Gabriel showed up that him and Alex are sort of shouting at each other. Because remember, Gabriel's mission isn't just to kill Alex. He thinks he needs to kill Alex and all of humanity in order to bring God back. Mm-hmm. And Alex is like, "You're crazy. I didn't do anything." And the quote was, "I was a day old when your father left." And as Gabriel points out, and you think that's a coincidence?
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, it reminded me of a crazy theory I had last season, which I have yet to bring up this year, and I'm really excited that I remembered it, because it goes back to my theory that Alex is God.
That would be really fascinating, and he just doesn't even know it.
Yeah, he doesn't know it. It's like a little bit of like a second Dogma reference in this after show, but like God trapped in a human body. Mm-hmm. But in this case, like that was what God did. He said, I'm leaving this place for a while. He either think of it as a vacation, or like he needs to do this to right the world or reset the world or whatever it is. I still cling to that. I still like this theory. Yeah, it makes sense because the question of where did God go is huge in this. Why is there a chosen one? Mm-hmm. It's not like I won't be satisfied if it's just a like Jesus metaphor, because it's not. This show's too smart for that. There's something else at work here, and I think that it is a way of like testing Michael and Gabriel in a way. Like, how do you two react? Like two of my
maybe it's a way
sons.
of testing like all of his children, though.
Yeah.
I mean, we have last season we had Uriel caught in between Michael and Gabriel as well, and we don't know how Raphael is going to play into this, and we don't know how Lucifer is going to play into this. But maybe it's a test for all of the children. Maybe he felt like they were all misbehaving for years, and they needed something to put them in line. Yeah,
I mean, if they are. If the five of them are like God's main children, this is something to remember, because I didn't remember to ask this of either Vaughn or Sean and Alyssa last week. But the question of, is Jesus going to play into this at all? I think the answer was no. I think I read somewhere one of them said no. But if not, we're assuming these five are. If we assume these five are God's like main children, the ones he's most concerned with. And so he's sort of like testing them by like everything about human history has been to test these five and see what they do. This is the ultimate test. This is like maybe he's retiring. He's
Right,
like, I need someone to take over.
Yes.
So let's see what happens. It's like a parent when they're like, I'm going out of town just for the weekend. I want to see if you're responsible enough for me to leave you alone at home. And he comes back. Oh my God!
You blew up the town.
Look at Las Vegas. What's happened?
What did you do?
I leave for like 5 decades and the whole place. You've got angels taking over human bodies. Those are people. Those are people, guys. And you, Leray, you combined yourself? Like, I can't even undo that. Like, I can't put that vase back together. That's my thought on what God says when he comes back.
I like that. Well played. Well played.
But so, like, the last place that we leave Alex in this episode was, what have I done, Gnomes?
Yes.
And I'm excited to go back to Alex and see what he's doing here. Like, what is his play from here on out?
Because we know Michael's broken out, so it's like, also, like, what's going to happen with Michael? What's going to happen with that relationship?
Yeah. There's a lot more to talk about. There's a lot to do on the show. And before we do that, I want to remind you guys that, like, you are the best fans, the craziest fans in the best way of, I think, any show that I do here at AfterBuzz. And thank you for that. And we're so excited to be able to bring you this after show every week for free. And part of the way that we're able to do that is through the fantastic support of our sponsors. And today's sponsor is Mazda. And so, like, I want to ask you guys a question. Does driving matter to you? Driving with the windows down. Close your eyes and picture it. The wind blowing through your hair. The smell of pine trees and fresh asphalt. You look forward to these moments when it's just you and the road. No distractions, handling every curve and feeling every nuance in the road. So ask yourself this: does driving matter to you? If it does, we build cars just for you, because to us, driving matters. Mazda. So yeah, thank you again to Mazda. I know I like driving.
Well, I have to. We have to drive.
Yeah, we don't have magical wings that sprung through our clothes out of our backs.
True.
I imagine
we must find alternative forms of transportation.
And we live in Los Angeles.
Yes.
Driving is it. Oh my God, can you imagine living in LA if we had wings?
That would be so awesome.
Oh my God.
It would be so awesome.
Best thing ever. I would like the show creators to start working on how we can get wings.
Yes.
As fans of the show, I would like angel wings.
Me too.
They're also bulletproof, which is really nice.
They're seriously the most badass effect on this show. Like, the wings are the coolest effect on this show.
I mean, that's part of what's amazing about the show is there's actually not a ton of special effects when you actually look at it. Mm-hmm. It's very, like, the 8 balls are very practical. Mm-hmm. The fights are fairly practical. They look like stunts. But the wings, like, they save that budget for the wings. Because when they come out, yes.
And on a show like this, you need something like that. You can't have angels that have lame wings. Then they're not real angels.
Oh, yeah. No, it's been fantastic. Real
David.
quick. One of the other ways that you can help us before we get into the wheel of it all, and all that, I just want to do some quick shout outs in the chat roll before we move on. Thank you to Hank09.
Yes,
left us a nice little chat review. We haven't checked it in a few weeks, so I want to give some back.
Yes, but he did leave us a nice review. He writes reviews, if you didn't catch this last week, but he also writes reviews for Dominion, so you should check them out.
Yeah. he says thank you for debunking my Laurel theory when he got on the thought that Laurel might be Raphael or Lucifer. But yeah, Michael would recognize his sister. But he says, still, Lucifer or Raphael have to be the prophet. Rev Liesel says, love Dominion, 5 stars. Love the season of Dominion. It's getting better and better. Love the Mallory and Michael subplot. Yes, I agree.
That is an awesome subplot.
And Lana Vase always leaving us a nice note. I love this podcast for the in-depth discussions about the world and mythos, including which angel may be behind the cult town of the show. We can't stop talking about it. I would love this podcast even more if you guys verbally ripped Alex a new one for his stupidity in this episode.
Yes. Done. So stupid this episode.
Yeah. What doofus betrays his strongest, most trustworthy ally for someone who he knows will lie to his face and betray him at the slightest whim? Yeah. We talked about it. It took us 20 minutes to arrive at the same point that Lana Vase had in 2 seconds.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Well, let's dig into the rest of this episode over in Vega. We just blew up Vega.
Right. Well,
I kept asking for it throughout. I was like, just blow it up. I'm so excited about everything else. Vega's like, that's cool. This is more fun. Blow it up. They did.
Yes,
they literally
did.
blew up the middle of Vega.
Yes. So now, basically, at the end of the episode, we have Claire saying that David started a civil war because he was
Vega.
He was playing Zoe, he was playing Claire, and he's kind of like chaotic and falling apart at this point. So he just is like, F it, I'm gonna become an anarchist.
Yeah, basically I think he realizes that it's either that. Or, well, no, because it's not that or go back to being a V1. Because he, honestly, I think he's being sincere. He trusts that Claire is going to be true to her word if he delivers the explosives back. He wants a civil war.
Yeah. I think because he's tired of Claire keeps making these moves now that it's not her dad in power. She keeps making these moves that are one step ahead of him, and he's used to being that person who's one step ahead. So he probably sees that, okay, even if I'm, not that he was thinking particularly logically in this episode, but he probably sees that, okay, if I get restored to my old position, given all my old things, I'm still not going to be treated like the way I was before. So the new power is in being one of the anarchists.
Yeah, Arica, when she comes to negotiate with him, is V3 or higher.
Yes,
is what she offers.
Well, it was also, that whole scene was interesting because she didn't expect David to be there. I don't think.
No. And
she gets huffy that it's not one-on-one, but she brought a bodyguard. So I'm like, this isn't entirely fair where you're telling David he can't bring someone with him, although David did want to get rid of that guy. But she brought a bodyguard with her, so it's not one-on-one. And she was upset that it wasn't, but, whatever. Erica being unreasonable.
But she left her bodyguard outside, right?
Man, I thought he came into the room. It's a big warehouse, so it was...
Yeah, it was a cool shooting location.
It was a cool shooting location.
But so Wheel is basically, he either is a lower level, not all the way low, but low level peon where he once was practically running the city.
Right.
So I guess to him it's all or nothing.
Yeah.
Either I get all of this city, I am in charge of it, or I'm gonna just destroy it. Just gonna wreck it all. I either get the perfect son or I'm leaving him in the desert with a gun and 6 bullets.
He has this great thing where he says there's not a lot of reasoning with an anarchist. They want everything to go bad. That's the whole point. Where I felt that that moment just foreshadows the end of the episode where he just kind of goes bananas and he tells Jasper, who's dying, get in the car, make your last stand a big one. And it's interesting because in that moment, he had been so, like, even though we feel like he's fighting all these powers that are bigger than him, and he keeps fighting and he keeps fighting. The moment he resigned himself to this position, the moment he resigned himself to being an anarchist, was the moment that he seemed to gain all of his confidence and power back.
Yeah.
Was the moment where he was just like, get in the effing car, let's go.
Yeah. I mean, he's just done. He's just like, I mean, this is like, you're either on board or you're not, but we're doing this.
And I found this interesting in light of the fact that we also discover that Helena is, like, falling apart, and Erica wants to come in and take over Vega.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, good luck at this point, because now Vega has a civil war, so either you're going to have to be, like, a third party in this war trying to benefit from the fact that the city's falling apart, or you're screwed because they're going to tear up the city that you want to take.
Well, I think this might have been her plan, actually. This might all be playing into Arica's plan from the get-go. Because, like, she's not just going to, like, march in with her Amazon warrior army from the city of Helena and just take over, and everyone in this city is like, okay, power shift, that's
Bye
cool.
Now.
You've got your, like, super tight pants, like, that clearly between you and Claire, like, that's all you need to be leader. Yeah, I watched this with somebody, and they're like, why do all these, like, women, why does she walk, like, about Arica, why does she walk like that?
Because her pants are so tight!
Yeah, she has that, like, super sexy, like, hip-shaking swagger.
I think it's partially because her pants are so tight. But we also find out that she was playing Uriel, too, which kind of made me depressed, because I did like their relationship. Guys, we know that we've seen that, I guess, on the internet, that Uriel might not be coming back, but I still think that fans have power. So I think if you guys really like Uriel and you really like the character, the more noise you make, the more that the people that make those kinds of decisions will realize that you like that character.
No body, no death.
Yes, no body, no death. That is how we roll.
And yeah, I think that's true. Like, she's not listed in any casting or like cast like lists for this season, as far as we can see. So I don't expect her to be back, but that doesn't mean that she can't come back for season 3.
Right.
Hashtag renew Dominion as well.
Right.
But add a hashtag save Uriel.
Save Uriel, yes.
Along with it. We'd love to see her back.
And I'd love to see how that character reacts to realize, like, does she know she was played, or is she like double crossing Erica, where she realizes that, like, she was playing her, kind of like a spy versus spy.
That was what Uriel was doing last year. Was she was playing Michael and Gabriel, like playing both sides, like not playing favorites, but then like sort of letting them duke it out and then seeing
so she could
how
get things
worked.
like paintings.
Yeah, I mean, she's an artist. She just wants her books and all that.
It's true.
It'll be very interesting. And so anyway, Arica in this episode, I think this is exactly her plan. Like, now the city is in chaos. Now Helena can come in when Claire, in theory, might get assassinated. Even though Arica says that she likes Claire, she's like, I like Claire. She's really good at this. Too bad I'm gonna have to take her down.
And then we have Daria, who's the doctor, is Erica's lover. So you have Claire getting these like chest pains or stomach pains or something, where you feel like, oh my gosh, there's something wrong with the baby. And you have Daria, the doctor, coming in and telling her she's fine. But then you're like, okay, well, these people that want to take down Claire are in, like, powerful positions. Is her baby okay in the end? Is she really okay?
I liked Gates, like, finding out about the baby.
I kissed a pregnant lady. Yes, you
it's
did.
It's not my baby.
Whose baby is it?
And, like, she's not gonna tell me. And, like, nobody else really knows about Alex. Like, they don't know about Alex and Claire. they don't know that who Alex really is. He's just a guy at this point. Like nobody cares. Nobody in Vega other than Claire, and I don't even know if Arca. I can't remember if she knew at least who he was, like his importance.
I'm sure she does, even if it hasn't been shown to us, just because she seems to know everything. But last season, every attempt they made to show that, to have it broadcast that Alex was the chosen one was like shot down.
Yeah. So we blew up the city.
Yeah, we blew up the city through the tunnels. And
we'll get into like thoughts about how that's going to go in predictions. But Insaid 5674 in the chat roll. This is my question: do you really think that the city of Helena is all female, because it doesn't seem that anyone new in Vega has actually been to Helena? And you're right.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone has been to Helena. We're mainly going on the fact that from what Arca has said, it is clearly a matriarchy.
Yes.
There's no way it's all women.
Right. It's probably just
they've been around for a number of years. Yes. They have to. There must be men around, just if only for procreation. But it is very from her discussions and the fact that she's leading it this way. I think it's very clearly run by women.
Right.
Also, if you look ahead on Dominion Revelations titles, the last chapter is called Helena, City of Women. So, little hint. Speaking of Dominion Revelations, if you check it out on, it's SyFy.com/Dominion. Just Google it. We got a little backstory on Gates that we didn't have.
Yes, where he was offered. I think they said this on the show too, where he was offered a position of power and he declined. He declined,
but what's interesting is that in this they say that he is not only because he turned it down, but he is emotionally unstable, and that was why they decided that he should not be in the Senate.
Right.
That he has some mental issues. I wonder if that's hinting at if Alex comes back to Vega, and like becomes a thing about Claire's baby, because of his line. He had almost like an understanding line. Mm-hmm. It was like pairing up to be like put Alex down, because he said, any man who loved you would be here. And then he added on, if it was humanly possible.
Yes.
Which is like, yeah, for Alex, it's not possible.
Right.
But if he had stopped before that, it would have been like, then it's like, Claire starts to go, yeah, he's such a jerk.
And
you're here.
Gates.
Come make out with me. You will be the father of my baby. Nobody knows about it yet.
That is true. I don't think anybody knows that she's pregnant, do they?
No. I think a couple doctors do. Mm-hmm. And that's about it. And now Gates.
Right.
Does Wheel? I don't know. I can't remember. It's a good question, because that could be a huge turning point. All right. We got to wrap up quickly, but let's do some predictions first.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Jackie, any thoughts?
I'm going to predict they find a way for Jasper to live, because I know that he was dying in the end of this episode, but I feel like he's a cool character. I feel like they're going to find a way for him to live, even though there's no doctor there. Maybe they'll find some way to, like, help use medicines or stitch him up or something.
Well, the big thing is that now you have, like, East Vega. I'm just picking direction at random with all the food, with all the V1s and all the food, and like West Vega with all the rich people, and they have theoretically most of the supplies.
Right.
Potentially, I think maybe the power is on that side. So you have this weird split where they need each other, and they're going to be going to war. I imagine there'll be a quick trade of like maybe some food for a doctor, or something like that. I mean, I think the Civil War is basically going to become a war. Like, it's going to be trading battles on both sides. And then Helena is going to come in at the end to quote unquote save the day. I feel that Zoe will put more, because she's been holding David at arm's length at this point. So I feel like she's going to put more stock into David after he does this. For better or worse. I mean, he will probably continue to lead that side effectively, no matter what. He will almost certainly betray her.
Right.
Like he just like is on the battlefield with her at one point when they're about to win. Oh, I think he's gonna just shoot her. Like he's just gonna be like, oh yeah, you know, or he just like pushes her into the line of fire. Oh no, they shot Zoe. I will lead you to victory. Stupid wheel. Crazy old David Wheel. So I think that's going to happen, and but the big X factor is when in that process Alex and or Michael and or Noma arrive back in Vega.
Right.
Because Alex has to come back
to find his city a mess.
Yeah, and he's like, oh no, and he'll probably come back on the V1 side, and then be like, have to like find his way to Claire, even though there's this insanity happening.
Yes.
It's going to be a crazy rest of the season.
It is.
We still have like 8 episodes to go.
Sure.
So a lot of time. Oh, all right. Well, I think that's going to do it, guys, for this edition of the Dominion AfterBuzz TV After Show. Thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to leave us a comment on the YouTube below. Leave us your thoughts on iTunes. Please, a good rating would be helpful. Thank you guys in the chat roll for joining us. The Angel E and Saeed, Boo69B, 17 Repo Man, Silver Candy 79, Sean, Shells, all you guys. Jackie, until next week, where can people keep up with you?
My website, 123jackieb.com.
And you guys can keep up with me on Twitter and Instagram and all those places at @ZachWilson, ThatzachWilson, and also here at AfterBuzz on the Killjoys and Strange Show, and a bunch more coming up in the fall. I'm so excited for the fall shows to come back. Guys, until then, I'm Zach Wilson, and thanks for geeking out with us.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.